Hello, everyone, and today I'm joined by Nick Abada, Olivia Gentry, Alex Bean, and I'm Megan Danaher. And today we're going to be talking about The Prestige, a Christopher Nolan film, with actors Christian Bale playing Alfred Borden, Hugh Jackman as Robert Angier, Scarlett Johansson as Olivia Wenscombe, David Bowie as Nikola Tesla, Michael Caine as John Cutter, and Rebecca Hale as Sarah Borden. Okay, everybody, let's talk about the beginning of the film. It begins with a tableau of what's to come, where Alfred Borden is seen watching Robert Angier drowned in a large magician's tank. He is then put on trial and convicted of murder of Robert Angier. So, what did you guys think about the intro to the film?
I thought it was wild. I thought it was great, and the film overall really just blew my mind. I don't think I've ever really sat down and thought about a film after watching it since I don't even know. It was really incredible. Christian Bale was awesome. ScarJo was hot as usual. It was just a great film overall.
So I got a question. Did you think Christian Bale did it? Well, Alfred, did you think he murdered?
Wait. We're talking about the beginning right now.
Well, he just gave like the whole rundown.
Yeah, he really did.
Everybody's.
Okay.
No, but anyways, I liked the intro. I think the parallelism at the end of the movie, they also use, yes, it is a word.
Parallelism is a word.
They use the same intro at the beginning as well as the end, and it kind of finishes out the movie really well. But it's really cool because at the beginning you go into it and you don't know anything and you're really confused and interested and like you want to know what's about to happen, but then at the end of it you know all the answers and it really makes you think about it later on. So yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, most good books have a really good hook at the very beginning of their stories, and this was this film's good hook to definitely, like, keep you interested, because how many movies do you see nowadays that are about magicians, like, at war with each other, and then a possible murder, like...
Good ones?
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
Sounds
I
about
wasn't
right.
into magic or anything like that before this movie, but now look into it.
Yeah.
Might become, your local magician.
Okay, so as the movie actually begins, because it first begins with the hook of showing what's to come. They show at the very beginning them working for Cutter, which is Michael Caine's character, and they're doing some small magic tricks, and Angier is married to his wife at the time, and she is the helper on stage, and Borden and Angier are working together. There then comes a time where they say, don't tie the knot on her wrist that is almost impossible to get out of. And then on stage, Borden ties the not good knot, and she ends up drowning. Angier's character is left in absolute devastation, and Borden just doesn't know what knot he tied, even though Angier's asked him several times.
Nah, he knew it. Now he tied. He just didn't.
You think so?
I think he knew it.
I think so too.
He made the
like
decision. He looked her in the
He
eye.
did it on purpose.
Yeah.
And like,
See,
and
I
he
don't
did
think
the tie.
he was trying to kill her.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
But whenever he did it like a few nights before and she made it out. So then Borden goes again and he asks her as he's tying the knot, like looks at her and she nods her head. And like then she isn't able to get out of it and ends up dying. But I think to myself, like, if that happened though, I don't think you would be so in shock that I don't think you would be able to remember.
Yeah.
I could see it both ways, honestly.
True. The thing that makes it kind of a gray area, most definitely, is just, like, yes, the wife said, tie the knot, and he had asked, but Robert Angier had told him not to tie that knot. So there's a double-edged sword when it comes to, well, yes, she approved of it, but also at the same time, she died, and he had told him not to do it, so it really is a gray area. But then from that, Robert Angier's character gets kind of obsessive in trying to take down Alfred Borden, and it goes into a series of several terrible events, one after another. When Alfred Borden's first show opens up at like this small place and he does the gun trick, he has Robert Angier stuffs the gun with an actual bullet and blows off 3 of Borden's fingers. And then later,
Which
when
is not cool.
it wasn't cool at all, but when Borden comes up with the trick to open up both doors, like go into one closet and come out the other, Robert Angier is just blown away. He wants to do a trick very similar to that, and Cutter tells him that the only way that trick could be done is if he had a body double. Robert Angier doesn't believe him, but for the time being, he decides that he is going to do a body double. But then
he got the drunk as a double, and
drunk as a double, and then Borden
it
talked
worked
to
for a
him.
while. It
Yeah.
worked for a while though.
But then Borden talked to the drunk and got him to question, he started to hold up Robert Angier for more money, and then it led to him eventually breaking his leg on stage because of underneath the stage. So, do you think that either of those 2 events, that Robert Angier or Alfred Borden, do you think either of those events that happened to them were justified?
I mean, I think the death of his or Angier's wife is what kind of sets up the plot for the rest of the movie, because it kind of creates or adds more attention to this already really strong obsession that both of these men have as to who is the better magician. But I think, I don't know, for some reason, I keep coming back to
Borden?
Borden. Yeah, I keep coming back to Borden because I feel like he's just the better magician, because if you think about it, he comes up with all of the ideas first, and then it's just Angier trying to duplicate those ideas over and over again.
And I think he's the better magician also because he was dedicated and into it before the death of old dude's wife. So his dedication was original. Yeah. He didn't need motivation.
I think the thing that also drove his obsession further was the fact that Borden had gotten married and had a child, whereas Angier lost that opportunity with his wife. Do you think that would give you a pause to make you think that maybe Angier could have been justified in his obsession?
I don't think it's justified, but I think it definitely added to his obsession. I don't think that makes it okay, but in the scene where they show him watching Borden with his little girl and with his wife, he's thinking that's what I could have had. So that adds more.
I feel like also he got to a point where he forgot about that. He just wanted to be better than Borden.
Yeah, because I feel like the pain in his heart had just gotten too much that he just he wanted to take something from him, because he was starting to feel a void in his own heart. Later on the thing, Scarlett Johansson's character Olivia Wenscombe comes into the picture, and and Alfred Borden falls in love with her. But little do we know that later on in the story it will be revealed that they are twins. Alfred Borden and his assistant are both the same person and just switch their lives every day. This then leads to one of the twins falling in love with Olivia Wenscombe and the other falling in love with Sarah Borden. This comes to a huge crescendo when Sarah Borden finds out that he has been sleeping with Olivia Wenscombe. And she becomes heartbroken and asks him, "Do you still love me?" But it being the other twin, the one that's not in love with her, he tells her, "I don't love you, not today." And 2 days later, Sarah Borden kills herself. Do you think that could have been changed or affected if they had come forward and said that they were twins?
See, I admire that dedication to keep that secret underneath,
that's your boy.
They sacrifice who they were interested in, everyday habits. They sacrifice it all just to keep this character alive.
Yeah. If you think about it too, they both got their chance of love, no matter how complicated it was. They both got their chance of love, and both of them also got to live their dream and pursue their career in magic.
They both cut he cut his his other brother cut his fingers off also.
When they did that, I was sitting there
Just to
like,
s-
oh my gosh.
just
And
to
that's
say
why I
the
wouldn't
same.
stop bleeding. I was like, holy cow.
And I think the reason why he had his fingers cut off is when Olivia said to Borden that you have a thing that would show that you
Yeah.
actually are a reappearing man. So I think that was the point in which he cut him off.
Yeah. But, oh.
Yeah,
that shook
that
me.
shows
Like,
you.
I was so shocked. Because it shows you there, and they're just cut him off. And I was like, wow.
When
It's dedication.
When Robert Angier kidnapped Alfred Borden's assistant, which was his brother at the time, and buried him alive underground, to free him, he was given the Notebook by Olivia Wenscombe. But to tell him where his brother was, or his assistant at the time, he asked for the key word to the Notebook, which was Tesla. What did you think about that? Like, did it give you a pause to think, well, maybe that's where they got the key to their trick? Because at that point, we don't know that there's twins. Do you think that
that
Tesla
might be
made
true.
them?
That just confused me a lot more than I already
Actually,
guessed.
I don't think that's true because Tesla didn't really understand. Like, Tesla didn't really think it worked until
They found the hats.
yeah. Until that incident happened. So it I don't know, but I don't think Tesla knew his machine really worked until.
But
I
whenever.
want to call him the Great Danton so bad. I'm gonna call him that. I don't like his other name. 'Cause
Yeah, just go for it.
no one ever said
Yes,
it during the movie.
so in case you don't know, Hugh Jackman's character, Robert Angier, on stage went as the Great Danton, so it'll be referred to as the Great Danton now.
So yeah, the Great
But as you were
Danton.
saying,
Yeah, but when the great Danton, if we're gonna go for that, goes to Tesla, Tesla doesn't really say anything
because
about Borden.
Alfred Borden probably went to him for something, because he did have an electrical contraption on stage, but I feel like that was more for show than it was for an actual magic trick.
Yeah.
It was, I think, because he was fueling, I think Alfred Borden knew that he was fueling an obsession within, because like when he was decoding the Notebook, he found the part where Olivia was in love with him and that was purposely given the Notebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the other part.
That like
really
whenever
threw me.
like that
That's
actually slightly shook me when he was reading the Notebook and it was like, I know you're here, Angier. It was just like, okay, that's
Yeah.
that's wacky.
No, that was the other part where I was just this movie though, it had so many parts where, or at least like 3 parts where I was just like actually genuinely shocked. Like you could not at all tell what was about to happen. It was genuinely shocking.
And I'm glad they didn't make it like mythical. Like I'm glad they kept it like real. Like all the tricks other than the big
Clone.
electric clone thing, like all the tricks were like
Practical.
yeah. You didn't see anything that was created by a computer.
So Angier goes to Tesla, and Tesla, by mistake, creates a machine that can clone things. This then leads to the final events of the film, where Angier comes back to London and sets up a show that is to go on for 100 days, and he wants Borden to be there for the last, so that he can watch him and convict him for his murder. But little does anyone know that he's been alive this whole time, but just killing himself, or his clone rather, several times every night.
It's kind of nasty.
It is, but it was definitely something that the thing that made it really interesting to me when you found out that the cloning was happening was they weren't showing it. That's the thing that made it really nice, is they weren't showing the clone happening or the clone dying. And so when the first showing of like him killing the clone, it was very visceral. Like it actually affected you because they were building up to it, and so there was a lot of suspense because you had like a thing in your head that the cloning was happening, but when they showed you him actually killing himself, it was just like,
it made you really realize that he was really about it. He was going to do it for the show. He'd kill himself 100 times just for the show.
Yeah, and whenever they show him, they show him get into the, I don't know what you call it, the cloning machine.
Yeah, the contraption.
At the contraption, like, right after he gets it, but then closer to the end of the movie, they show him
What
and it's
happens.
like a flashback, yeah, and they show him get in, and then he shoots himself, and it's like
that like when that happened, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I got it.
yeah.
That's not connected. That's why he had the water tank. I feel like he drowned all of them. And that's also the reason why he had the blind man down there, I guess.
Because they probably would have like just blabbed to everyone.
Yeah, he didn't want. What was the guy name that helped him?
John Cutter.
Yeah, Cutter. He didn't want Cutter around. He didn't want Cutter backstage.
Involved. He didn't want him involved.
He just wanted him out there. Like, he didn't want him to see what was
no
going
one really
on.
questioned it because when he's a magician, he wants people to see his tricks.
Yeah.
But he used to have Cutter always in the background to help him out to figure out how to do things.
Yeah.
Like when he was doing a little bird thing, like he didn't want to kill the birds no more, so he found like a little machine, slip the bird out.
Yeah.
Close the machine.
I think what was really something that kind of affected me in the end of the film was the fact that like when Alfred Borden's twin shot Robert Angier and they pretty much had gotten even on every account basically. Like they had lost fingers, they had lost loved ones, people had died in the name of like just this feud. Alfred Borden had owned up to the fact that he was playing dirty just so he could like keep his secret. But when Robert Angier said, I didn't know if I was living in fear of the night that I was going to be the one who was going to drown.
Yeah.
That actually was very touching in a very weird way for me because it wasn't like I wasn't feeling sympathetic. I was just feeling like you cared about it probably as much as Borden did, but you were going about it in a very different way.
Yeah, I agree. It really put things in perspective because they both gave up so much.
And it was like it definitely came to a head. At least at the end, someone could walk away with some sort of happiness when Alfred Borden, who had loved the wife, got to walk away with his daughter.
Yeah.
So, in the end, there only was one Alfred Borden.
Yes, but I wonder. Well, after he killed the Great Danton, like couldn't he just use the box and repeated this process all over again?
When I was watching the end scene, I for a second thought that he was going to clone himself or he was going to clone Angier to make a living version of him. I didn't know why, but I just had a weird like feeling, but it didn't happen. So I was like, oh, okay. Because like basically every expectation I'd had previously had come true, but then that one just didn't. And I was like, okay.
Ooh, y'all know another moment that shocked me was whenever they said, do you have any final last words? And he says abracadabra. And it goes down there and he kills Andrew. I was like, holy cow, how did he just escape? But then I figured out they were twins.
Yeah, I was like, holy majolies.
I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, it literally made you think about it because when he threw the rubber ball, I was like, oh shit, that's the assistant because at the very end, whoops.
Well, there went that podcast.
Whoops.
Yeah, we knew.
You better figure out how to edit that out.
It's fine. It's probably gonna be like 15 minutes into this. I don't think anyone's actually gonna hear this, and it's gonna be on my channel.
Okay, well, it'll be fine. Anyways.
Whoops. Anyway, what was I saying or you saying?
I don't really know. Should we just end it now?
You said
Call
you
it
was talking about.
Sorry.